Shall we begin?
You are now listening to an altogether less fashionable variety of soccer podcast. Broadcasting live from the capital city of Columbus, Ohio. Welcome to
ACES Radio.
I got the new wings with the Zima flavor sauce.
I've given this no thought whatsoever.
Hashtag probably riding cock.
They're in your face. They're a little different. I think it's super cool. I love them. Jamie, ignorant slut.
Hold on to your butts.
Now, here are your hosts.
Not Morgan Hughes. Rest.
John Zadar. And Darby Snarpus.
No! Greetings, shitlords, edgelords, and bezlords. You're listening to another episode of ACES Radio, the only podcast that has failed to get a result at any point in this season on the road. Welcome back. This is episode 164, I think. That sounds right. A fuck ton plus 2, give or take. Yeah, it's nearly the end of the regular season. There's only one game left, and here we are. It's November 5th. The country is in chaos. Nobody yet officially knows who's president. The internet is a shit show, and we're just going to contribute to the bullshittery that exists in the world. Brent, how you doing, buddy? It feels like it's been day and day and day since I've seen you last.
Yeah, it's been a while, but not long enough. No, I've been pretty good. You know, getting a little bit of rest after the last 3 days, so that's always nice.
You've been a busy boy, helping make democracy happen.
Yep, exactly.
You have any kooky stories you want to share with the listeners?
Let's see. Yeah, okay. I had a couple of gentlemen in one of the precincts that I was traveling between on Tuesday get mad when they were asked to confirm their name and address for the sign-in procedure. Like, didn't really have too many issues with people getting mad about being asked to wear a mask or to, you know, cover up their political T-shirts or whatever, like we thought would happen. No, these two guys decided to get mad when they were asked what their name and address was.
Did you tell them you were just preventing voter fraud?
No, I wasn't actually the one assisting them during the check-in process at that time, thankfully, because I probably would have made some remarks that would have gotten myself in trouble. But no, somebody was very calm and explained to them that, you know, it's just a part of the process. And then as it turned out, one of the two actually hadn't updated his voter registration yet, so his address didn't match, which is the whole reason that they asked the question. So good on you for, like, proving the necessary existence of that question. People are stupid.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that coming into the election. We're equally as assured of that coming out. But thank you for doing your civic duty as a young, and, you know, obviously you're completely immune to COVID because you're a young. You can just, like, throw yourself out there. I don't know how many voting screens you licked in the past couple of days to get them clean, but thank you for doing that. Your tongue is providing our nation with a valuable service.
Yeah, it was too many, but, you know, had to be done, so.
Yeah. All right. John, how are you doing, buddy? How are things in the Zadar world?
Darby, first of all, I would like to say that you said moments ago that we don't know who the president is, and I would just like to correct you and say that we all know that our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ's handpicked successor, Donald John Trump, is the current president of the United States, okay?
I meant the next, hashtag next president.
Well, you didn't say that, Darby, and in this land full of fake news and election fraud, I think you need to be more specific.
He's got a point.
Thank you to our resident pedantic asshole, John Zadar, for his contribution here. Other than being here to correct me on my incorrect statements, how are things for you, my friend?
Oh, they're just great and dandy, just working and working and working and working and not watching any crew games, so that's great.
A lot of people are saying that that's really the best approach to take right now. Don't watch cable news channels and don't watch crew games, and your life will be better for it.
Yep, I have been checking the election stuff maybe once a day, and I did not sit through it all on the night of because I don't see the point in torturing yourself over something you have no control over. So, yeah, I voted, and I passed out. I disseminated useful information about voting and things like that, and I feel like that's my job. I did my job, so now the outcome is going to be what it is going to be. So
you disseminated potential voters. Is that what you said?
That's true. I was at the line. You could ask Brent. He saw me there as they were coming in. I made sure to disseminate each one before they approached him. There was some drippage, but we got that mopped up, I think.
Now, when Brent said that you needed to come to Licking County, the licking part did not actually mean licking voters.
Well, like I stated a moment ago, I do appreciate clarity in these kinds of things because I licked a lot of people, and if he had told me that ahead of time, I wouldn't have. But it's too late now. I can't. Once you've licked a voter, you can't unlick them. Okay.
No, you were actually exactly right, John. That was a part of all of the training for Licking County poll workers.
Oh.
They had to lick every voter.
Okay, so I am in the right here. Good.
Once again, I stand
Darby's trying to be a
corrected.
smart ass, but
I am the source of all voter misinformation in the entire world right now.
I have always said that about you, yeah.
Yeah. I definitely get you on the ignoring election night things. I did that myself. I actually played Among Us for the first time that night for several hours so that I would not be looking at election results and whatnot. And I have to tell you, that was one of the best decisions I've made in quite some time. The game it's fun. There's a bit of a learning curve, but with a little bit of booze there to help you along and some friends to play with, that was a much better option than doom scrolling or watching pundits just rehash the same information over and over and over and over again. So I do highly recommend ignoring election night nonsense in the future if that's a thing you choose to do. I know that you gotta love David Miller, who, I don't know if you saw his setup on Twitter, had like 27 screens set up in one place so that he could cause himself immeasurable amounts of stress and heartache and heartburn on election night. He's a true political lad.
He just did that to himself. So
yeah, that was David. I love you, but that was dumb as hell, and how dare you? And it's still 2 days later, and we still don't officially know what's going on. So whatever. All right. Should we talk about some crew games or whatnot? I guess for a little while. Yeah.
I will participate
if you insist
in the most supporting way I possibly can.
John is our cheerleader today. Because of his busy work schedule, he's not had the opportunity to be a true lad. He is out there stimulating the economy, not only stimulating voters this week, but also stimulating the economy, getting out there and selling beer to the masses.
The only thing I saw was the I don't even know who scored it. Was it Harrison Awful? Did he score the goal in the Orlando game?
He did.
That was definitely a thing that happened.
Did happen to glance at the TV literally just as he was taking that shot, so I saw that, but that's literally the extent of my viewership. So
I mean, that shot probably rattled the TV. So,
as an owner of Saucy Brew Works, a partial owner of Saucy Brew Works, I appreciate your sacrifice in not watching these crew games.
You're welcome. I'm just doing it all to make you some money, Brent.
Oh my God.
Great.
Incidentally, I know at least one other person has mentioned being an owner. How many crew fans bought shares of Saucy Brewworks just with the intent of being John Zadar's boss?
Well, joke's on them because I haven't seen literally a single one of you in there yet, so.
I'm not going to a fucking bar. That sounds stupid.
Well,
we
walking in
have-
there
we
to
have
spend my money kind of defeats the purpose.
We have extensive patio space, Drabs. You could have come out and enjoyed it one of the past few deliciously fall days that we've had.
And
You
know
can
what
also
else?
pick up your beer and take it home
That's
to
true.
support them.
Yeah, I do not recommend sitting inside. If anyone's gonna get COVID, just leave that to me because I'm 100% sure I'll get it at some point. But
Yeah, another place that has great patio space is my backyard. So,
agreed.
thanks. Yeah.
I will say, as someone who had not really had any of their beer, or also their food, but now has had lots of it, it's really good.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, I've seen saucy beers at the store. I have to have tried one at some point.
It is. It's very good. I like lots of their different kinds of beer. Like, I'm not a huge beer guy, you know. Like, I drink beer, but I'm not like an aficionado like your Andy Stankies. But they have quite the broad selection, and there's other than one or two, not many that I just like flat out dislike. So I would highly recommend it.
Nice. Yeah, and you're close enough. Maybe I'll pop over there at some point and pick something up because you're not too far from where I live.
Yeah, that's probably only like a 5-minute drive from you, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I've gone and gotten overpriced brunch from Catalina, so I could certainly go and get beers there.
Yeah, see, it's only a block away.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, yeah, so cruise shit. Let's talk about good game, which I'm putting in air quotes, which you can't see because this is fucking radio, Darby. What are you even doing? The good game against the Philadelphia Union, which was a 2-1 Crew win at home. Brent, this game got us 3 points. You wouldn't necessarily have thought that was going to be the outcome watching the game at the time. What were your sort of impressions? I mean, there were some good points in this game. Artur, Nemeth, Room, but there was a lot of crap in this game too.
Yeah, I'm glad you explained the air quotes thing since I can't see you because I was about to blast you for calling this a good game. Yeah, this was not in any way a good game in my mind, except for Aloy Room, who had a hell of a game. I mean, I know Artur and Nemeth both scored what looked like pretty good goals when you watch them. They were good shots with some decent build-up play around them. But if Andre Blake is in the game for Philadelphia, I don't think we have either of those goals, to be perfectly honest. So I'm not going to go and be too excited about this win. I mean, 3 points is 3 points, and I'll take it. But using this game to measure the team, I don't think it really improves my view of them.
Yeah, for sure. Big shout out to Joe Bendick finally giving the Crew a good result after all of this time. That dude just can't fucking play goalkeeper, and I don't know why anybody signs him at this point. If you're going to spend your money, go get a young guy who can actually move instead of a fire hydrant you just plop in the middle of your goal. Yeah, Room stood on his head, made a ton of fantastic saves like he's been forced to do in these past 2 games. Also, a welcome back to 2017 Jonathan Mensah, who has reappeared. The guy who was an early frontrunner for MLS Defender of the Year has apparently taken a vacation and replaced himself with a 3 years previous version of himself, Brent. There's some real head scratchers coming out of his play in both of these games. But thankfully Room is there to clean up messes. Artur had his second goal in MLS regular season. He had gone, incidentally, second goal in 4 games after going 102 regular season games without scoring and attempting 85 shots during that time. So it was a long time coming, but we are absolutely glad that you're here, Artur, on the offensive spectrum, because ain't very much of anybody else showing up. Also of note in this game, Namath had his first goal in a crew uniform. So he has now played 3 games. He has played almost exactly as many minutes as Fernando Adi has in the entire season. So Namath now has played the same amount as Adi, but scored more goals than Adi, which is to say he has scored a goal. Fernando Adi, you suck. And I hope we never, ever see you again. Namath had a great run on his goal, dragged the defenders out of position, kind of pulling them towards Diaz, and then just like fading to the back post where nobody even saw him, and finished a perfect cross from Diaz. If I'm entirely honest, I don't think Jossie actually finishes that one. So big props to Namath for the game-winning goal there. Otherwise, Crew got outshot 22-7 in that game. They had 20 clearances. Room had 8 saves, so they were putting out fires all night. One went off the goalpost, thank God. Brent, also in this game, we got to hear Coach Caleb Porter giving a 60-minute one-on-one coaching session to Harrison Awful. What did you think about the audio in this game?
Yeah, the ABC audio feed was horrible. One of the worst I've ever heard for a live sporting event. I don't know about you, but I could not hear the announcers at all. I think it was Taylor Twellman and John Champion. Is that right?
Yeah, Taylor Twellman and some ham sandwich, I think. I don't know.
But yeah, I couldn't hear a word that they were saying because all I could hear was Caleb Porter yelling at everybody to pass the ball to Harrison Awful and telling the guys to be patient.
Harry! Be patient, Harry!
Oh, my gosh.
Harry! Jonathan, go to Harry! It's good to know we are all on this podcast now as qualified to be coaches as Caleb Porter, because that's apparently all coaching is yelling at a couple of players to be patient or to pass the ball. Yeah, otherwise, game wasn't great. Like I said, Mensa had a rough game. Valenzuela had a rough game. I think Nagby and Lucas were both guilty of holding onto the ball a lot. I felt like in maybe even both of these games, they were kind of believing their own hype. Like, oh, we've been told that we're the possession guys and we make we're the metronome that makes the team run. And I saw them get dispossessed several times because they were just more interested in dribbling the ball than finding the open guy. Also, I'm not even sure if Pedro was on the field. The starting lineup says he was, but we have no evidence of his existence. He might be dead, which would okay, that's fine. Anything else about this particular game, guys?
I mean, I don't really have anything to say, having not watched it, unfortunately. But I am kind of disappointed to hear that it wasn't a good game, despite them getting the win. And also kind of confused by that, given that like it was the best team in the league that is almost assuredly going to win the Supporters Shield. Like, was this just like a case of Philly having an off night? I mean, I see from the box score that they outshot us by an insane margin. I mean, they had 22 shots. So I don't know.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think
Brian.
it's like I said earlier, if Blake is in the game for Philadelphia, neither of those goals get scored, in my opinion. Artur's goal was in the first half. That was first half, right?
Sure, we'll go with that.
Either way, whenever it was completely against the run of play. Philadelphia had been possessing the ball and just huge amounts of time. And anything that we had been doing, like we were just struggling to get the ball near the net. And then all of a sudden, you see when Artur gets the ball, I think Keith kind of illustrated this pretty well on Twitter, Keith Noss. But when Artur gets the ball, Bendik isn't expecting him to shoot at all, so he's just like completely out of position and standing flat-footed.
Yeah, you're right. I'm watching the highlight right now. He's literally half a second before Artur shoots, Bendik actually looks away. He's not even like looking at Artur. He glances at something else.
And then if you go to the late game goal on that Diaz cross, I just think that's something that, again, Blake or an Alo Room or one of the better keepers in the league is going to be in a better position to interrupt that cross, and it wouldn't make it to Namath for him to be able to finish that.
That ball does hang, so a really good keeper probably gets a hand on it.
So I just, there wasn't a lot of quality offensive possession in that game. There weren't a lot of dangerous chances, but the 2 or 3 chances that we got, we were able to bury them because they had a lesser keeper in net.
Yeah, and I would say, Philadelphia was getting the ball in dangerous spots all night. For some reason, the Crew defense decided that the top of the box was not an area they needed to defend. So attacking players for Philadelphia were constantly getting the ball there. Room was he had 8 saves. And also they had several opportunities that were just misses that they were pulling their own hair out over. So if you go and watch one of those 20-minute highlight games on the stupid MLS app, you'll see a shit ton of shots where it's like, oh yeah, they should have buried that. They should have buried that. They should have buried that. And they just didn't quite get it done. So yeah. So yes, that's, this is a game that's a win on paper, but the team certainly shouldn't be proud of it. And it's an indicator that, I think if you play this game 3 times in a row in Mafre, this might be the only win that the Crew get. And it's not a pretty win. All right, well, let's talk about the even uglier game. The one against Orlando last night, which had a reverse score. It was on the road in Orlando, and the Crew suffered a 2-1 loss. Once again, for me, the theme here was Awful and Mensa continuing to crap the bed. Although I will say big shout out to Harrison Awful for getting an assist on the Orlando goal, passed it right to their attacking players directly in front of goal. So thanks so much for that. You did pull a goal back with that just absolute blast, but then that just made it a wash. Brent, we were watching it together. We were yelling at the side of my garage. What were your impressions of this game?
I come away with the same memories of that game that you just talked about. Jonathan Mensah, for whatever reason, continues to make just some ridiculous decisions in front of the net. I can think of 3 or 4 times off the top of my head that he just passed the ball to a Philadelphia player at the top of the box.
Yep.
By trying to go across the field. Not sure what was happening there. Harrison Awful, outside of that goal that he had, which was a beautiful goal. It was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, you and I remarked that every single time he had the ball, what did he do? He would turn to the back and pass to, 99% of the time Jonathan Mensah, and the other 1% of the time Bouba Keita. It seems like the only move he has is to pass back to a center back, and he can't find anybody else going forward.
Yeah.
This was just I think we're going to talk about this in a minute, but you went a man up for 25 minutes in this game?
I think it was 30. I want to say, but yeah, a long
25, 30 minutes, and you still
Yeah, it was the in the 52nd minute.
Gosh,
so
this was just bad.
It was the better
nearly
part of
40.
half an hour. Yeah. I mean, 52nd minute, so yeah, almost 40.
Okay, so
it's
even longer.
over 40 minutes with extra time. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and
longer,
it was 8 minutes
and-
of extra time.
Yes, you had almost an entire half up a man, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you still had like little to no dangerous attacking play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was one of the most disappointing. We've had several results that we get on this show, and then we call it the most disappointing loss of the season.
AKA every
Cincinnati,
yeah.
DC, whatever you want to talk about. But this was stunningly stupid. Caleb Porter, we got that goal back. We still have 20-something minutes, and then Caleb Porter pulls Darlington Nagbe and Lucas Celerite on so that he can save them for the Atlanta game. What is that? Like, I don't understand your decision-making there. You have one more game in the regular season, and then you have a 2 or 3 week break before the playoffs even start. Why do you need to rest them so that they can play against a mediocre to bad Atlanta team? You're up a man with 20 minutes. Keep them in the game, go for the throw, and try to steal the win.
Yeah, this was the literally last and best chance to win any road game in this entire season for the Crew. And Caleb Porter decided in the 69th minute to pull off Nagbe and Lucas. Followed by Jossie 9 minutes after that, presumably for the same reason, to give him some rest. Yeah, if you're tied on the road, up a man, I mean, that's a good time, especially because Orlando was a team that you were tied for a playoff position with. If you manage to steal this win, that's fucking huge for you.
Yeah, I was gonna say this going from a draw to a loss put Orlando ahead of us in the standings now, and almost assuredly, like, they will stay there. And now we're not only behind them, but we're in a position where, depending on how the last day's results go, I think that it is likely that NYCFC could leapfrog us, which means we would fall out of the top 4, which means we would no longer be guaranteed a home playoff game.
Yeah, you're right. Even Caleb Porter came out today with the team released this quote: "To make sure we have a home game in the playoffs, we have to win the next game." Well, if you had just taken care of business last night when you were up a man for 20 minutes in a tie game, then you wouldn't have to worry as much about Atlanta. But you decided to rest your players so that they could play longer against an inferior opponent. I don't understand the decisions that he continues to make time and time again. I'm tired of him.
He's not a good coach. I've been saying it.
And we'll touch on that a little bit later, because I think that's an important conversation to have. But yes, this game, if you win the game against Orlando, you have punched your ticket for a home playoff game. Now, the Crew do have to win against Atlanta, a team that is fighting for its own playoff lives. They have literally a must-win game against us. And you've got New York City licking their chops, looking at the possibility of getting a home playoff game. Because if they win and the Crew tie, they're going to beat us on the first tiebreaker, which is number of wins. Because New York City then would wind up with 12 wins to the Crew's 11, and you're definitely on the outside looking in. So a Crew win now against Atlanta is the only scenario that guarantees that they will have a home playoff game. And
yeah, it's gonna be a fierce weekend, I think, because we play Atlanta, who's literally they're the last people not making the playoffs, so they're in 11th, and NYCFC plays Chicago, who are the last people in the playoffs, so they're in 10th. So both those teams are going to want to win or get points, because whoever does is probably going to steal that last spot. And when then we're both battling for the final spot in seeding for guaranteed home games. So those are going to be some fierce games.
Mm-hmm. And because it's going to be decision day in MLS, all those Eastern Conference games are going to be played at the same time. You go in not knowing what results you need. Like the crew don't get to coast because they know, Chicago managed to beat New York, or they have to assume the worst possible scenario. They have zero margin for error and zero luxury in this game.
Yeah, the only, I think, advantage they have is that the crew are going to be at home and New York have to travel to Chicago.
I think the one thing that I can say is I'm glad that we can officially retire the all the people tracking the ways that the crew can still steal the supporter shield, even though we've been out of that conversation realistically for a couple weeks now. It's done.
Yes.
Drop it, please.
Mathematically, it was a possibility if the crew won out and some other things happened, but doesn't matter now. Oh, fucking terrible.
It's between Philly and Toronto.
Yep, and that sucks. That means, the Caleb Porter is now officially 0 for 5 on his quest to get trophies for the crew. So, thanks for that, Coach. One thing I want to talk about overall with both of these games.
Oh, are we going to talk about the red card?
Oh, yeah, let's do that. Okay. The Nani red card, which got reviewed by VAR, it was initially ruled a yellow and then upgraded to a red. Brian, I don't see it.
Was it even a yellow? I didn't think they gave him a card. I thought that he just called the foul.
I just watched it, and he gives him a yellow, and then he
did? Okay, I just missed that then.
Does a video review, and he changes it to a red.
Yeah, and Nani at that point was outraged it was even a yellow. And so I think it's a yellow because he shows a bit of stud. But
it's a red.
You do think it's a red, John? Okay, so
yeah,
give me your perspective.
If you freeze frame it, his fucking studs are straight vertical up and down on Artur's ankle. And it doesn't really matter what your intent was or the ferocity of the tackle. If your studs are up and they make contact with the player, then that's a red card.
I don't know. As I watched it, I've got it going here. In real time, I don't see a lot to it. I also think Artur makes a meal out of the play in question. Nani's mad because he thinks he got the ball, which, of course, every fucking player says, well, I got the ball. Well, that doesn't mean you didn't foul him, dipshit. Or it wasn't a dangerous play. And if John, if that's your position, that just, the play itself is dangerous, I don't know. I feel like... I mean, it's not really a two-footed tackle. When he does make contact with the ball, and then I think sort of the act of hitting the ball in the ground means that his foot winds up, studs up. I don't know. I don't think it's a red. I just don't. I think his studs were accidentally up, which I realize sounds weird. This just it wasn't clear enough for me to turn a yellow into a red. And if it's a VAR thing, it's supposed to be incontrovertible evidence, right? And I don't see that myself. I think it was a rough foul. I think it was definitely a yellow. I don't think you kick him out for that.
I mean, if you can actively pause the video and see the entirety of his cleats up against the dude's ankle, how can you say that that's incontrovertible?
Well, I don't know if I can freeze frame it well enough necessarily.
I can. I can send it to you, and I can send it to you from couple different angles because I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, that's fine.
That's the tough thing about that too, right? Is it doesn't matter whether you meant to do it. You are responsible for being in control of your body and your limbs, and if your limbs do something that you didn't want them to do, that sucks. But that means maybe you shouldn't have put yourself in that position. I don't know. I'm pretty hardcore about things like this, just because these are the types of situations that are potentially like super fucking damaging and could not just like take a guy out for a year, but end a career. Like if you break his ankle in the right way, whether you meant to or not, like you have a Stuart Holden type situation where he, like, you know, some guy tackles him super hard, you know, the wrong way, and the dude's career is over. So I love the opinion you err on the side of caution, but
okay, yeah,
it felt harsh last night. I haven't rewatched it, so maybe if I did, I would see what you're saying. But watching it last night, it felt harsh to me.
Yeah, and I'm all about protecting players. I also wonder if this doesn't happen after Nani loses, he got dispossessed immediately prior to this play, and he winds up chasing the play then. So it probably looks a little vindictive in that sense, like, you know,
he takes a bad touch and he doesn't keep control of it, and Artur comes to take it, and it looks like he's making a desperation tackle.
Yeah, and that is always going to go bad for you. Okay.
Because his touch wasn't just bad; it's also bad back towards goal. So, like Artur, if he gets the ball, is having momentum towards goal. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so I do see a freeze frame on a second angle that's a little more behind the play, and I see Nani's studs up against Artur's ankle. So now this angle makes more sense. The initial gameplay angle, the live shot, Artur's ankle itself kind of obscures the play, but okay, I am with you now. I do see studs up going, I mean, frankly, even it's above Artur's cleat, like it's going into the yellow of his sock. So, okay, I get it now. So I concede this point. It's still not the worst foul, but that's probably as much luck as anything.
I think I will say that I could understand if he didn't give the red, but seeing like the amount of contact and where it's making it on the dude's ankle and stuff, like I don't think that you can be upset that he did it. Like,
yeah, if they didn't have a long time and really sort of hang out slowly on this free kick, I don't know if the VAR official has enough time to call it down and tell him to take another look. Because Artur wasn't down especially long, so they could have gotten up and gotten a play moving relatively quickly. I don't know if the crew were looking for a replay or if it was just a slow setup, but there was kind of a long time. It looks like it's nearly a minute and a half before he goes to review the play. I'm watching a YouTube video. I'm at a minute 48, and he just went over to the VAR screen.
Do we know? Not then. This isn't necessarily about the foul itself, but do we know what the deal is with Nani? Because he's like bawling, walking off the field. He's like literally crying.
Yes, I have no idea. A lot of people on the Twitters were jumping to his defense. I guess some people may have been criticizing him or making fun of him for crying. And while I am absolutely
hashtag massive report.
Oh, were they being shitty about it?
I don't have any. I'm not gonna make fun of him. I'm just curious why he's crying. It doesn't seem like
I thought it seemed
kind of weird.
Yeah, I thought it seemed odd. I am a self-avowed crier. I will cry at movies. I will cry for television shows, books, a 2015 MLS Cup. I will cry for any number of reasons. But this context just seemed odd. Like, to show
like you're in
level
like
of emotion.
A knockout game or something. It's just, yeah, that's why I don't know if there's something personal going on that I'm not aware of or whatever, but.
For sure, yeah, like, or if this had led to a penalty kick that wound up being the winning goal late in the game, I mean, I don't know why. I literally don't know why, because it doesn't seem like there would be a reason to get that upset, but I don't know what's going on in his head and his emotions, so. But yeah, don't make fun of a man for crying. Make fun of him because he has stupid colored hair.
Yeah, fuck you if you're making fun of this guy for crying. Like, what?
But yeah, yes, thank you, Brent, for pointing out that I forgot that kind of big fucking deal in this game. So yeah, it was a red card, but it didn't affect the outcome of the game in any way for Orlando because we didn't score as a result, and they won anyway, and I hate soccer.
Was it?
Sorry, go ahead.
Am I misremembering the time of the goal? Wasn't that after the card?
The crew goal?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. So we did score as a result. We just didn't hang on.
Well, it wasn't right after. It wasn't off the. Yeah, it wasn't a direct result of like that stoppage. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a free kick afterwards that I believe was tragically, horribly wasted, and nothing came of it.
Yeah, it was about a minute or a couple minutes later. Nani's red card was in the 52nd minute, and Harrison's goal was in the 56th. So it wasn't a result of that actual like stoppage, but yeah.
Oh yeah. Apparently the free kick went into the wall, and then jack shit happened after that. Yeah. But I think both of these games, what worried me the most is the giant gaping holes that other teams are able to find in the middle of the crew field. They have no problems moving the ball into the midfield, where Artur and Nagby are supposed to be. They also have no problems getting into, John, what I'm told by experts is called Zone 14.
Zone 14, Darby.
Yeah. Which is basically the place you want to be when you score goals, which is in front of the goal, basically.
Well, no, Zone 14 is the area at the top of the box.
Top of the box, yes.
Inside the box is 17.
Yeah. So Philadelphia basically lived in Zone 14 that entire game. Orlando seemed to prefer Zone 17, as you say, because they were just like passing through the 6-yard box on a number of occasions. It feels like our defenders are playing zone defense. Like I remember at one point, Booba was standing between two Orlando attackers and not actually defending against either one of them. And I'm not a professional soccer player, but that seems like a bad idea to not defend against guys who are very close to your goal. You, John, are a goal-scoring machine. So do you like getting the ball directly in front of the goal and not being defended?
Yeah, Darby, as a goal-scoring man, that is where I would like to receive it.
Okay. So what you're saying is the crew should not let other teams do that, but they should try and do it themselves?
They should absolutely try to do that themselves, but they should probably stop any attempts to do that on their end.
That seems like something they should work on moving forward, then, I'll say.
I will draft an email to Mr. Bezpachenko as soon as we're done recording.
Excellent. I appreciate that, because clearly they haven't considered this. Guys, the crew officially finished their season with 0 road wins. One of only 2 teams in the entire league to do that this year. The other one being the Chicago Fire. So, yay! We're really good at home, and we're really, really fucking bad on the road.
Yeah, man. Cincinnati is far and away dead last in the entire league, like behind by 5 points to the next worst team, and even they managed an away win.
The second worst team in the East, DC United, has 3 road wins. What would that be like? Imagine if this team had 3 road wins. Oh, that's right. They would be leading the Supporter Shield standings. God, I hate soccer. So
yeah,
much.
I mean, 0-5-5 on the road is just not good enough.
Yeah, and it's not going to be when you're no better than the 4th seed in the playoffs. Shit. So let's take a minute real quick here. I want to talk about Caleb Porter because, big fan of his. I think I've made no apologies for that. John, I remember a certain gathering of crew fans before the 2019 season at the North High production facility here in Columbus, where Caleb Porter told a collection of fans that the crew were going to be going after all the silverware. Hashtag all the silverware. Now,
I recall that, yes.
Right. So in 2019, they awarded a supporter shield, a U.S. Open Cup championship, and an MLS Cup. Columbus was not involved in any of those conversations. This year, there is a supporter shield. No thanks to the Supporter Shield Foundation. Get fucked forever and ever. A MLS is back trophy and an MLS Cup. The crew are not involved in the supporter shield now or the MLS is back trophy. Caleb Porter is 0 for 5 in potential silverwares and is probably going to have to spend a lot of time on the road to have a shot at MLS Cup. Now, it's not easy to win silverware. It's literally the toughest thing to do in professional sports. If everybody could do it, then they would. But 0 for 5. And I want to take you guys back because this is not Caleb Porter's first stint in MLS. He also coached for Portland. Now, while he was in Portland, he never won a supporter shield. He never won a U.S. Open Cup. And I will argue that he never won an MLS Cup because that was simply awarded to him by Steve Clark and Tony Tchani. How? Just how? How? Brent, how?
Yeah.
Brent doesn't want to say how. John, how?
I mean, the guy doesn't have a great record. I kind of have said this a few times, dating back to when we signed him. He has one trophy to his name, and it's that MLS Cup, and that MLS Cup was, quite frankly, they were, I believe, if I remember correctly, the last seed going into the playoffs. So they kind of backed their way into it. A couple of really boneheaded fucking mistakes by crew players in that game are really the only thing that ended up winning them that match. And frankly, beyond that, he didn't have great results the other seasons that he was the coach of Portland. I mean, they finished first in their conference and third overall his very first season in 2013. And I think they made it to the semifinals of the playoffs that year. But the years both before and after the 2015 Cup win, they didn't qualify for the playoffs, which says a lot. If you go from winning the Cup to not even qualifying for the playoffs, I think that just kind of tells you how much of a lucky break that 2015 Cup run was. They finished 12th overall that season, 7th in their conference, and then his last year there, they did place first in the conference again, 6th overall, but they only made it to the quarterfinals of the playoffs. So the guy doesn't have a great track record as a professional coach, because that's all he's got is Portland, and then he took a couple years off before coming here. But so he's not this dynamo coach like I feel like some people portray him as. He's not a Bruce Arena. He's not a Siggy Schmidt. He's not up there in that caliber.
Yeah. Brent, what are your thoughts on this? Is he a good coach who just can't quite get the silverware? Is he overhyped? What is Caleb Porter right now to you?
I think he's definitely overhyped. It would be hard to look at the results that he's gotten over the course of his professional career and not call him overhyped. It wasn't just Caleb. It was, Bez, and it was the team ownership that when they brought him in, they talked about, how we were going to win all the trophies, and they wanted a guy that, had a history of success in MLS. Okay, he had, one good season maybe 2. Like this isn't, like John said, this isn't the history of success that we have that we've been sold. And then you look at some of the decisions that he's made when it's come to his interactions with players. Alex Cronali, just the way he handles things when things don't go his way and the way that he treats his players. I don't think that that's a person who can ever really be successful for more than a year or 2 at a single club. He's a guy that I'm trying to think. There's a baseball manager. I can't remember his name, but he's kind of the same way where they come in for.
It's fine. We won't know who you're talking about, anyways.
Yeah, I figured. But they come in for a season or 2. They're really abrasive, and they do really well in that season or 2. And then after that, they just kind of drop off because everybody that's on his roster just kind of tunes him out and doesn't pay attention to him anymore because he's just a jerk. That's what he strikes me as. So I'm not sure that outside of, maybe next year, I'm just not sure that you'll continue to see positive results stack up.
Yeah, I think. What is he on? He's on at least a 3-year deal, right? So seeing us through that next season, the opening of the new stadium, I don't suspect that he's going anywhere. I don't think his seat is probably hot. I think they probably have come into the ownership and the deal with him as head coach under the assumption that unless he literally, Cincinnati style shits the bed, he's not going anywhere until the new fucking stadium is open and all that shit is out of the way and he's got basically carte blanche to do whatever he wants shy of lighting the fucking place on fire. And then maybe after that he'll be his performance will actually be addressed. But I think he probably is totally fine, like I said, unless he pulls some sort of Cincinnati level type collapse. I don't suspect that his job has ever even been considered as potentially risky territory.
Yeah, I was pretty convinced at the time that ownership got him because they had to plug somebody in, right? Somebody who was low risk. And I think Caleb Porter was a low risk signing. You knew he probably wasn't going to be epically bad, although that run of 16 games last season you could probably argue was epically bad. But in a first season with a transition in ownership, you get away with that sort of shit. Caleb Porter got 100 wins. He reached the 100-win milestone this season. But he's also coached 259 matches. So, it's not like he was just winning them all. He still has a losing record as a crew coach at this point. His record is 22 wins, 24 losses, 13 ties. Probably going into a new stadium, you don't sign a new coach just because, again, that whole continuity thing. But if you want to make a splash next year, he doesn't feel like the guy to me. He just doesn't.
I thought it was interesting last night. One of the things that Jordan and Neil were talking about, they were looking at Oscar Pereira down in Orlando. They were talking about, how he's gotten the team to buy in and now he's, made them believe, and talking about how he as a coach has helped them mentally to just kind of work together as a unit and to be a team. And I don't think Caleb's capable of that. Like, I think that's one of the things that's missing from this team is a leader that can come in and unite guys and inspire them. I don't think any of these guys are really inspired to play right now.
They're not playing like it. That's for damn sure.
I just don't see the things that I expect to see from a coach. I don't see tactical adjustments that seem to make sense. I don't see substitution strategy that seems to make sense. And, barring the coaching things, there's, there's a level of success that can be expected based on just the talent and the caliber of players you have on your roster. And I kind of think that that's what we're seeing is we're seeing some middling type performances where we're eking out results here or there. And it's because we've got people like Lucas and Nagby and Room saving our ass and some other pretty talented pieces that are able to just, you throw those guys on a pickup field and they're more often than not, they're going to do, above average because they're good. But, without the work being done behind the scenes by the coaching staff that really like has a vision and a style and some intent behind their rosters and their formations and things, that talent can only take itself so far.
Yeah, for sure. And it definitely, I mean, he's also ridden his Akron fame for a number of years. He did win one national championship with them, but I mean, congratulations, you were good at soccer in Akron, Ohio, otherwise known for tires and also crystal meth.
Yeah, which, by the way, that championship was a decade ago now. That was in 2010. So it's time for that to that doesn't really matter or count much anymore, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Like all the big name players that wound up in MLS afterwards, like they're all getting old now. Like this is. What I know is Caleb Porter has 2 weeks right now, basically, to figure out how to win on the fucking road, and he better do it. Otherwise, it's going to be an inglorious lame out in the playoffs, and that's not how you want things to be going into your new stadium season. Like they need results in the playoffs, and they're going to have one home game at most. So you have got to figure out how to win on the road. So, Coach, you're on the clock right now.
One thing I will say is that, if for some reason the Crew manages to bumble their way through the Eastern Conference playoffs, they do have a points per game value that is equivalent to second place in the West. So depending on how things shook out over there, it would be likely that if they did make it to MLS Cup, the odds are decent that they would host it. But I just don't think they have a snowflake's chance in hell of making it that far.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to be able to be an advantage to whoever comes out of the West, but I mean, there's a lot of roadblocks in between here and there. You've got teams in the East. They're the conference to beat this year, and so you look, it's like who's above you? Okay, the Union, who you've played well on paper, but they gave you a hell of a game. Orlando, you couldn't come up against. Toronto continues to just be good. Like we've gotten. Well, actually, no, we didn't have a good result against Toronto because that was the beginning of the shit the bed process out in East Hartford. Yeah, it's going to be a rough road to even get to anybody in the West, so you have to figure some shit out. All right, are we anything
I'm sick
else?
of talking about soccer, Darby. Let's move on.
Let's not do that. It was terrible. It made me feel bad about myself. And normally the only thing that makes me feel bad about myself is looking in a mirror, John.
Oh, the cell phone. Love it.
Yeah. All right. Let's do some questions of the week, questions of the week, lads. Once again, we threw out a request for some user-submitted questions, and you all are assholes because you gave us really long and involved questions, and I hate every one of you, and how dare you. But we're going to do it anyway, but we're going to do it our way because it's our podcast, and if you don't like it, go start your own. There's like 500 others, so it's fine. Our first question this week comes to us from none other than Nate Beckman, who has been incessantly tweeting updates on vote counts in Pennsylvania and Georgia. Kudos to you, my friend. I hope somebody's reading them. I'm going to CNN. Sorry about your luck. Nate Beckman asks, what would a Biden cabinet lineup look like? So there's a couple things here. I don't know if this means a cabinet full of crew players, because this is supposed to be about crew players. Also, there are 15 cabinet positions, and that's too long. So what we're going to do is this. Lads, what one crew player should Biden put in his cabinet, and what cabinet position should that be? I don't know if either of you have had a chance to think about this question so far. Right now, I'm just making noise so that we can all have a chance to get on Wikipedia and look up Cabinet of the United States so that we can even pretend like we know what cabinet positions exist. Have I wasted enough time yet?
Do you just want me to go ahead and jump in?
Yeah, if you want to jump in, please do. Save me from myself.
All right. The last two games have kind of made me rethink this, but I would have said Jonathan Mensah for Secretary of Defense. After the last two games, though, I don't. It's a little rough putting him in that position.
So that's not your answer.
I was going to say, so you told us what your answer isn't, Brad.
Great for that.
I mean, I'm going to go ahead and stick with it. That is my answer.
Okay.
But I'm
Jonathan
having second
Mensah
thoughts about it.
For Secretary of Defense. All right. John, do you have a thought for this yet?
Yeah, I'm going to give the job of Secretary of Labor to Eloy Room because he's out there working his fucking ass off to keep this team alive.
Shit, I like it. Damn it, I was going to do Room and I was going to do Secretary of Defense, and now I really have to, I got to work things out here. I'm going to go with, I'm going to give Secretary of Energy to Luis Diaz because that dude is always running. So I feel like he could probably provide the entire country with sustainable energy just by hooking a generator up to his legs. All right, moving the fuck on. Our next question comes to us once again from the account known as Shawshank FC. Top 2 realistic transfer targets in the off-season. Guys, this is an actual soccer question, and I have no idea how to deal with that. Also, if we're talking about transfers from other leagues, I don't watch other leagues worth of soccer, so I don't know. Do either of you have thoughts? I'll make something up, but maybe even. And you can even just say one if you want. If you've got 2, great. But if you just have 1, that's fine also.
I mean, well, there's no way that we have enough information to answer this. Like, we don't know what kind of roster moves are going to be made in the offseason, people who are going to be released, whose contracts aren't going to be re-upped, things like that. Like, I have no answer whatsoever. I think that we need to – I could tell you what position I think we need to focus on. I think
that. Okay, go ahead. That kind of comes up
Is that
with
another question coming up?
AJ's question. He asked. Well, so maybe let's combine these two because AJ asked, "What are the perceived weaknesses in the lineup that should be replaced in the January transfer window? If Caleb Porter is going to keep playing a 4-2-2-2-1-1 that collapses into a 4-2-4 on defense, I disagree with both of his formational premises.
Yeah, I'm not sure what those formations are, but.
Yeah, but they kind of get at the same thing. One would assume you're going to target your weaknesses with the transfer. So if you just want to talk about positions that need addressing, we can do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do that. I don't follow soccer nearly closely enough like I used to be able to tell you who I think would be a viable target. But I think that right back is
I think probably our weakest position, if you're to ask me, assuming that everyone's healthy. I don't think Harry is bringing what he used to or what we need, and either the answer is Chris Cadden, which I think we were all led to believe that it was, or it's not because he's not getting a lot of time. So I'm not really sure what the thinking about him is in the coaching circle. So I would, and even if he is the starter. Do we keep Harry on the roster? I don't know. I would have to imagine, given the amount of time he's been here, that he's probably fairly expensive at this point. He is 34. That's pretty old for a soccer player. So I would think that we would need to find a replacement. So I would think that would be a position we would try to sign somebody new to. Outside of that, a second person, I don't know. Maybe you try to find someone new for the wings, someone that can bring a little bit more production. I mean, outside of Pedro, I'm not sure we're seeing what we need to necessarily see from the wings as far as assists and goals.
Brent, do you have thoughts on this one, either specific people for transfer targets or positional weaknesses?
Outside of the crew, I have probably watched a grand total of 3 soccer games. So I am not going to be the person to start naming off players that I think we should target. But I think John hit the nail on the head. Right back is easily the worst position on the field, on the roster. And I would really like to know why Cadden is struggling to get minutes right now. If memory serves, we paid kind of a high transfer value for him from, was it Motherwell? So I'm just not sure what the issue is there. But clearly,
they really wanted to keep him. So
yeah. And then they also had what was it? Oxford. Oxford was trying to get him from them permanently. So we kind of got, it seems like we may have gotten launched into a bidding war or something. I don't know. But so if Porter's not going to use Cadden like we thought he was going to, then the right back position really needs to be addressed. And then I would also say the wings, like our central defense. And what?
I was just going to give you a quick stats on the wings that I just looked up. We've got 5 goals and it looks like 3 assists from all wingers combined, not counting Pedro. So all other wingers combined have less goals and less assists than Pedro does by himself.
And that's just sad.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, I feel pretty decent about the central defense of this team, the combination of Nagby and Artur. And then some of the younger guys, Aiden Morris especially. So I don't know that you really need to make a big move there. So it's the wings. That's really it. Right back and the wings.
Yeah, so I don't watch other teams. I would assume the top 2 most realistic transfer targets in the offseason are whatever players are free agents that played for Caleb Porter at the University of Akron. So Chad Barson, if you want to come out of retirement, I assume that Caleb would sign you instantly. So I guess feel free. I would actually say, you've got to figure out the right wing situation, although I assume Cadden becomes the starter maybe as soon as next season. I think you need left fullback depth and you need number 10 depth. I think that when Lucas has been out, there's a significant drop in the skill, and just having to sort of plug Pedro in at that position is definitely not ideal. And then creates issues then in replacing him on the wings, because the only person you have who is kind of a more technical guy as opposed to a speed guy is Mokhtar. I think as far as the left fullback, Valenzuela still struggles at times. Waylon Francis, I don't know how they reanimated his corpse and got him on the field last night, but it showed that it was his corpse. And as much as some people like Hector, he's a utility player. He's not necessarily your best multi-game option at left fullback. So I think you need somebody there who's going to press Valenzuela and be able to step in if he's ever injured or even just struggling. So those are my positions. Sorry I don't have transfer targets, but I'm a USA soccer lad, so I don't. If there's somebody out there in Lithuania or the Dutch First Division, I don't know who they are. Also, AJ, we clearly play a 4-4-2 on defense. At most, you see a 4-3-3 as one of the wingers might come up to help with a press. We don't ever defend in a 4-2-4. Delete your account. Okay, next question comes to us from Keith Noss. Lads, which current or former player would create the winning design in the crew patch contest? So this is the thing we talked about a couple of weeks ago, that fans get to design a Nordeck patch that will be given out to Nordeck season ticket members. Keith wants to know what player would create the winning design. John, you're our local art boy. Do you want to tackle this one first?
Probably Harrison Awful. I picked him from that other question a few weeks back of being a fashion lad, and I think that he seems like he maybe could come up with something fun and cool, and it'd probably have some really neat like Ghanaian stylings to it. So I'd be down for that. It sounds nice.
All right. Brent, what do you think? Who would win among former or current crew players in the design contest?
I'm going to go with Hector. Utility player on the field, utility player in a front office. I feel like he could do anything, including design.
He'll lead the team in ticket sales. He'll design a new logo. He'll go ahead and get a sponsorship deal done for you. I love it. All right. Maybe this is lazy, but I'm going to go with Frankie, and I feel like Frankie would just design it. The patch would just be a cartoon version of his face screaming and pouring a beer over himself, and that pretty much represents the Nordeck. So, Frankie, front office members are not eligible to win the competition, so sorry, but you're welcome for the design idea. All right, the next question comes from user account Cool Posts Below. Who will win the 2024 presidential election? And again, we're going to make this crew related. So what crew player or staff member would win the 2024 presidential election? And I'll call on Brent first this time because I said so.
Well, since presidential elections are about popularity and not necessarily about issues and substance, the answer would be Josh Williams, easily the most popular man in the universe. But if it were about the issues and the substance and, skill and actually being qualified for the job, the answer for the crew would be still Josh Williams, because he's the most important person to ever play for the team.
All right. John, who do you think? Who would win the presidential election 2024? Who has the crew name associated with them?
As the delegate from Ohio, it brings me nothing but joy but to cast my vote for Josh Williams.
I mean, it's hard to go against that. I will say, from a position standpoint, I'm going to go with Derek Etienne. I think he kind of made us.
Boo! Lock him up.
Don't get me wrong. I would definitely 1,000% vote for Josh Williams if he were on the ticket. I would give him all my money. I would give him my underpants. I don't think that would help with the candidacy, but I would still give him my underpants. However, Derek Etienne was pretty vocal here over the summer and involved with stuff, so I appreciate that. And on an actual platform position, I'm going to go for him. All right. Next question comes to us from Mike Hudson Sucks. He certainly does. And his question is, make a baseball team of crew players. You can use Aloy Room at all infield positions if you like to speed up Bront's response. First of all, Mike...
That's not a question, Drabs. You said his question is make
exactly.
It's not a question.
Exactly. It's not a question, Mike Hudson. How fucking dare you put a shirt on and delete your account forever? We specifically asked for a question, and you gave us something that ended with a period. This explains why you're a Cincinnati fan. But we'll humor you. We will take your fuss lad bullshittery here. We're going to say pick one crew player again and tell us what position they would play. And Bront, since you are the baseball boy in this podcast, let's say current crew players. What current crew player would you pick to play baseball, and what position would they play?
Well, it would either be Aloy Room at catcher because nothing's getting past him.
Oh my God!
Or Luis Diaz in center field because of his speed. I mean, those are the two easiest ones.
John, did I say one player? I said one player, right?
You did, but he was quite quick.
Do you want me to?
I think we could let it slide.
Do you want me to keep going and name the rest of the positions?
No, I literally don't. I literally don't. By the way, John, Harrison Awful base salary $288,000 this year. Guaranteed compensation $364,000.
Sounds like a lot, Bob.
Yep. All right. So who's your baseball man on the roster?
For me, I'm gonna pick John Kempen, and I'm gonna give him the job of walking around the outfield and sucking up the balls with that big mouth of his.
I love it. All right. Since Brent picked two players, I'm going to take one of his. I'm going to say Luis Diaz, but he's my shortstop. I think he's the guy. He's going to be your leadoff batter, first of all. But he's also going to be one of those guys who just makes amazing plays in the infield. Like, he just pulls throws out of his ass that you have no idea how he made. I think he's going to be one of those superstar infielders.
So you're saying he's the Derek Jeter of the Columbus Crew?
I'm not familiar with baseball players who cheat for the Yankees. I know that. Was he the one who did the steroids, or was he the one?
No. Oh my gosh, you're ignorant.
No, hi, little Jeter baby. He's the one that throws the ball fast.
Oh, that's right. He was their starting pitcher in the 2010 World Series.
Yeah, have you ever seen A League of Their Own? It's about him. It's a biopic.
Oh, I am not touching that at all. Moving the fuck on. The final question this week comes from Nordekian on Twitter. When they bring back the cruisers, will that Morgan woman be the captain? Brent Miller, your thoughts?
I'm sure that Morgan woman would be very happy with that, but you know what? I'm just going to say this. Let's not bring back the cruisers, and then we can, just not do that.
Right. John, your thoughts?
So you've got to be only marginally talented to be in the cruisers, in which case, no, Morgan couldn't possibly be the captain of them because he's not even marginally talented.
Yeah, he clearly doesn't have enough athletic ability to be able to wave a pom-pom, let alone do anything more complicated. Now, if the cruisers were a group of people who sat on the bench during a basketball game, then yes, he could be the captain of the bench on a basketball game. Otherwise, no. Also, he's dead. #rest. Okay.
Yeah, zombies can't dance.
Unless they're in
Michael Jackson would
videos.
have you believe, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that takes care of the questions of the week. Let's move on to some man balls. Brent Miller, who who gets your tasty, tasty man balls this week?
One goes to Aloy Room for standing on his head for multiple games in a row. And I mean, just the saves that he was making, not only do they keep the teams in the game, but just like, what the hell? Like, how the hell does he do that? And then the second one is going to go to, oh, geez, I don't even know. I'll give one to you two. Have fun with it. I don't even know for what. Just somebody that's not on the crew.
Oh, all right. I'll take half your man ball. I appreciate it. John, who you got this week?
I didn't watch the games, but I did watch. I've now watched most of the highlights, and Eloy is making just some like really crazy impressive saves. So I'm just going to give him both of them.
Yeah, I'm with you. I kind of considered giving one to Diaz just because I appreciated his hustle. You know what? I'm going to do it. Let's not pump up Aloy too much here. So Room gets one for me because he did amazing. But Diaz, I love the assist on the Namath goal. And also there were points in the game against Orlando where he appeared to be the only one who actually gave a shit about playing. He basically tried to take on the entire Orlando defense on one play just because nobody else was doing anything. I see you, dude. The goals and the assists they're gonna come. Just keep it up. All right. Well, let's preview a game. There's only one game left in the regular season. It is a home game. It will be on Decision Day, which will be this Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The crew will be home at Maffrey playing Atlanta United. The Five Stripes are a not very sexy 6, 12, and 4. They are 11th place in the East, which leaves them currently on the outside looking in, but they are currently 0.05 points per game away from a playoff spot. So while they don't fully control their destiny, they have every reason to try to win this game. So Brent, you've been watching these last two bullshitty crew things that have happened. What are you looking for from this Atlanta game?
So the first thing, you pointed out, it's a home game. The crew, with the exception of that Montreal game, have done very well at home this year. And Caleb Porter just pulled out your three best players on the team, your three most important players on the team, so that he could rest them for this game for whatever reason. So they better be, healthy and energized, and there better be some fight to this team. The crap that I saw against Orlando while they were up a man, it's not going to cut it. Like, I need to see that this team wants to play soccer heading into the playoffs before this break.
For sure. John, what are you looking for in this game? Last game of the season, can't hold anything back. Oh, God damn it, I should have used that on Brent. Last game of the season, Brent, can't hold anything back. I love it when I'm late for a joke. It's so good.
What does that have to do with Brent? I don't get it.
That's a Waterboy reference.
Oh, okay.
I know you're not up on your Adam Sandler movies, John.
I've seen Waterboy multiple times. I don't remember fucking quotes from it. I think what Brett said is on the nose there, right? Like, we pulled these players out specifically so they would potentially, like, theoretically be ready. I expect these guys to be going 90. I need Nagby to go 90. I need Lucas to go 90. I need all the big players to be going 90. If we're gonna hang on to this last, hang on to one of these home game seeds, we need to win this game. Not draw it, win it. That's the only way we can guarantee that we stay ahead of New York City. So I'm expecting to see all those guys out there. I'm expecting us to see our full-fledged starting lineup. I still don't even necessarily know what that means or who that is. Like, do we see Josh Williams come back in next to Mensah? I think that Mensah has not played super great with Kaida alongside him. And while I do like Kaida and I want to see him play more, if Mensah is more comfortable and, just overall better with Josh next to him, then that's what needs to be happening. And we can address anything going forward without Josh after this season and the playoffs are over. But I want the absolute best team on the field. I still don't think I even know who that is on the wings either. So, yeah, I don't know. I want to see a team that's trying. I didn't watch these last two games, but we talked about that last week about just kind of the lack of effort, the lack of hustle, the lack of drive that so many of the players seem to have. If they're resigned to a short off season, then you know what, that's fine. Why don't you just go ahead and forfeit this last game and save us all the fucking trouble? But if not, then get your ass out there and act like it.
Yeah, for sure. This game is teed up for a big statement at the end of the season. Atlanta has won 2 games in the last 9, and they were against Cincinnati and DC United, which, of course, all good teams should beat quite easily, Columbus. That being said, it's a home game. The Crew are very, very, very tough to beat at home. I'm with you, John. I want to see the starters go 90 minutes. Whatever lineup comes into this game should be the lineup in the playoff game, because you need to get your best choice out there. You need to get them a little chemistry. You can't come into the playoffs with any sort of momentum because your results have been far too inconsistent. I mean, that Philadelphia win that probably should have been a loss, that doesn't help your cause. So get a statement win, put 3 goals in, pitch a shutout, play like you care, play like you want to keep going, like you want to win in the playoffs. Show us that you're a team worthy of respect. Show the league that you're a team worthy of respect in the playoffs. This is going to be your last chance to, I don't know, I think it's too much to expect you might inspire fear in your opponents, but at least inspire a little respect when they're facing you, especially at such time as you're going to have to play on the road. Because at some point you're probably, I don't know if the road playoff route just means playing for ties and hoping to win a shootout or what, but you got to win this Atlanta game convincingly. You just have to, for any number of reasons. Yeah. So before we get into some score predictions, let's go ahead and recap what happened in the past couple of games. First, we have the game against Philadelphia, which was a 2-1 victory for the Crew. Brent Miller, you predicted a 1-1 tie against the Union because you're a coward. You get no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. John Zadar, fortune favors the bold. You picked a 2-1 Crew victory against the Union. That was exactly right. It gave you 15 points and the lead again in the prediction standings.
Yeah.
For that moment. Darby Schnarfus, you predicted a 2-0 win against the Union. While that was also a bold prediction, predicting a shutout on the Crew's part is dumb. Therefore, you only get 5 points. Next, we have the game against Orlando City, which was a 2-1 Crew loss. Brent Miller, you continued to be a coward and predicted a 2-2 tie. That was very, very wrong. You get no points once again. How dare you? John Zadar, you followed in the footsteps of the coward Brent Miller and also predicted a 2-2 tie.
Whoa. Brent followed in my footsteps.
Okay. You were the original coward.
I don't think that's actually the way that happened.
Well, no, regardless of who says it first, you always follow in my footsteps.
Yeah, that sounds right. I'll go with that. Yeah,
that doesn't sound correct. Actually,
thank you very much.
That's just wrong.
Yeah,
Brent, as someone who cannot move up from last place, please be quiet.
Whoa! I am not in last place.
That's true. Oh yeah.
That's fair. Well, as someone who's in the relegation end of the table, the non-playoff end of the table, please be quiet.
All right. John, no points for predicting a tie. How dare you? Darby Schnarfus.
It was very close, though, Darby.
Darby Schnarfus, you...
A lot of people are saying that probably should have been the result, and therefore John and I should both get points.
Darby Schnarfus, you realize that Home Team FC in this context was clearly going to be the best possible result you could pick. You predicted a 2-1 crew loss, and you were exactly correct. You get 15 points. Moving on to the prediction standings.
All the people that did not say that 2-2 should have been the result, and therefore John and I should get points. You want to know what they said about that game? It should have been a 2-1 crew win, and therefore Darby should lose 15 points.
That's true.
I think we should do both of those things.
Yes, go ahead and do minus 15.
No, that's not how
70.
No.
Everything's right with the world.
So, that should have been a 2-1 crew victory. There was no reason for me to be right in my prediction.
Dude, when I saw the Harry goal, I was like, oh shit, 1-1, and then I saw that we were playing up a man, I was like, oh, Darby is so fucked.
Yeah, you would have thought that, wouldn't you have?
I was like, ooh, with me getting 15 points and Darby's almost assuredly going to lose 15 points on this game, like, it is over.
Yep. But it turns out, I've never been so unhappy to be correct about a prediction in my life.
Yeah, I got off work and I checked the scoreline and I was like, what the fuck?
Yep. Thanks, crew, for that. I hate it. I hate everything. All right. Prediction standings. This year's guaranteed winner of the ACES Radio Anthony Precourt Memorial Wooden Spoon Prediction Award goes to Morgan Hughes, everybody, with an astounding 5 points. The continuing champion is dead. In third place, not having predicted a score correctly in 527 games, Brent Miller. In second place, with 75 respectable points, John Zadar.
Thank you.
In first place, with a fantastic, unbeatable, you probably shouldn't even bother making a score prediction.
Okay, I guess that's the end of the standings. Darby decided not to finish his sentence, which is awkward, but we're just going to go ahead and move on because he's not talking still, so that's great.
No. God damn it. 85 points, Darby Schnarfus, continuing champion. All right. Damn it. If you hadn't mentioned anything, I would have just kept talking and not realized I was muted.
That's why I didn't say it right away. I wanted to give you a few seconds of silence.
Oh, shit. All right. So let's do some score predictions. What's the most fair way to do this? I don't want to be a Morgan and, wait for you fuckers to predict so that I can pick something that guarantees I'm going to win. Should I go first? Is that the fairest approach?
I'm trying to think of a way we could all post our things at the same time.
Nope,
okay,
Drabby first.
Here. Okay.
Hold on.
I was gonna say we can.
Idea.
I was gonna say we can. Well, Brent, are you on your fucking phone?
I'm using my phone right now for Twitter.
Are you able to tweet?
I'm on Twitter right now.
Okay, what if we all type in our score predictions and hit send, and then that way we can't change them after the fact, and then we'll say what they are, and then afterwards we can delete those tweets if we want to.
Okay, I like this.
That way we all will submit simultaneously, but we won't see what the other people are saying.
So it's the ACES version of Decision Day. All games at the same time.
Exactly. I love it.
Yes.
This is so good. I'm here for it, John. This is a good idea.
And don't delete the tweet. I will retweet them from the ACES account.
Okay.
All right. Well, let me know when you're all ready, and we can all hit send. And then close Twitter, and we'll finish the show.
Okay.
Don't tell me how to live my life.
Bront, God damn it.
Okay, so I have typed out hashtag Crew96 score prediction : and I have my score prediction ready. So I'm ready to tweet when the time comes.
That's too much.
Okay.
I have no hashtag.
I am ready and doing the same thing.
Okay. Is everybody ready? In 3, 2, What? Wait, who just typed? What the hell?
It was me.
Oh, okay.
I was typing CLB so that it knew you could tell who I was saying was the winner.
Oh, that's a good idea. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1. Clap sound.
Okay. Sent and closed Twitter. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So I predicted a 2-0 crew victory in this context.
Oh my God, Darby! I predicted a 2-0 victory also.
Oh shit!
That super fucking sucks because that means that I can't beat you.
Yeah.
So congratulations on your fucking trophy.
Oh shit!
Oh gosh!
All right,
God damn it,
Brent. What was your score?
I said 3-2 crew.
3-2, really? We don't normally talk about the specifics of our score prediction, but I want you to explain yourself on that one because you think Atlanta's going to score 2 goals?
You think the Crew's going to score 3?
Yeah, maybe that's a better question.
See, I didn't really know how to go with this because, home team FC to win the game. But this also feels like a letdown. I don't know. I'm not super confident in.
Well, we are Crew fans.
So that was kind of the best way I think that I could kind of keep both of those things in my prediction. So I still got home team FC winning, but in a disappointing fashion. I don't know.
Okay. I mean, it's terrible and you're going to lose, but I appreciate your honesty in that context. All right. So we all predicted wins. Thank you, John, for coming up with a system that seemed fair. I'll take my victory off the air, I guess. Brent, what'd I miss? What'd I forget? What did the old man screw up that we haven't discussed yet?
I mean, a lot of things, but you know what, at this point, let's just do what the Crew are doing and pack it in.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. I don't know how the Crew come back from that. Probably with a road loss.
You gotta be a little nicer, Brent. Caleb's a crier.
Oh, shit. All right. Well, I suppose this is the point where we close out the show. I don't know, can we? It feels wrong to even talk about Lord Guillermo anymore because he's now currently unemployed. Former Lord Guillermo, I guess.
Mm.
But it's been tradition, so we'll do that thing.
No, not former.
No?
Not former.
I mean,
He's
still
sweet Lord Guillermo. Yeah, he's just unemployed. It's okay.
Well, I mean, I didn't know if his title had been stripped once he was unemployed. Like former Duke or something.
Well, no.
LA has no power to strip him of that title.
Yeah, he is not. Yeah, LA does not have any authority here.
Okay, that's fair. Well, then in that case, we can do that thing where we whisper, and sometimes we whisper and sometimes we don't, and sometimes I whisper and you guys don't. But it's never been a thing where you whisper and I don't. So maybe we should try that this week.
Okay.
And all
right, let's do it.
I was gonna. And
well, you told us the plan, and then you awkward paused like you wanted us to respond to it.
I don't know if you know that. All I do in this podcast is awkward pause. That's it. See.
All right,
that.
John.
You want to?
All right. And all Lord Guillermo's people said,
I hate the Crew, and I want to see
Brent, you didn't mute yourself, but you still didn't whisper. Now you're just